Hey, it's Hazlet in my closet studio. You may have heard me talk about the current state of how music is bought and sold, etc., i.e. the music business. Today I want to explore a little more about how exactly the music industry has been blindsided most recently. For many years, the main way people made money from recorded music was by selling the medium the music existed on. First it was wax records, then vinyl records, then tape in various forms, 8-tracks, cassette tapes. Then the final physical medium, the compact disc. Records were kind of the glory years, the glory days, because the average person could not record something, make a master, and stamp their own records. This meant that the people that owned the recordings, usually a record label, could have a monopoly over the recording, more or less. So if you wanted to listen to it whenever you wanted, you had to buy the record off of them, that physical record. The advent of magnetic tape, cassettes, introduced the ability to pirate music on a massive scale. The record labels fought this new technology hard because they were afraid. They were afraid that if anyone could use the high-speed dubbing feature, high-speed dubbing, on their ghetto blaster, why would they ever buy a record or tape from the label? Of course, then came CDRs, and now people could make perfect copies of the music. This was the end of the world. Only it wasn't. Napster was. I still remember my brother telling me about how awesome these MP3 things were going to be. You could listen to your music anywhere. Then he bought a Nomad. I don't know if you remember those. That was like the first MP3 player. The world would never be the same. And yet, people are still making music. And people are still paying for the medium that delivers the music. However, the record labels no longer have the ability to sell the medium. Only the music. Of course, the medium is now software, or SaaS, software as a service. The main player is Spotify, followed closely by Apple Music, and then the rest, Amazon, YouTube, Deezer, etc. So how could this happen? I don't know, honestly. The only thing I can think of is hubris. The labels thought they were so awesome and so smart. Maybe they never realized they were really in the medium industry. Maybe they thought they were actually in the music industry. Well, maybe not. Maybe they did realize they were in the medium industry. At least back when it was records, that's why it's called the record industry. But they were never ready to pivot. They were never looking ahead at what was coming. Each wave of technology caught them off guard, caught them with their pants down around their ankles, and they struggled to play catch up every single time. And usually this included a bunch of lawsuits, which they did. And they'd catch up, they'd take over, and they would be selling that new medium. Until MP3s became a thing. Instead of learning from Napster's model, like Napster launched a medium whereby you could get music, all of the music. Now, it wasn't exactly like what we have today with streaming, but, you know, it was digital music out there and available to everybody. So they didn't, instead of like thinking, man, I bet you people would pay for this if they would pay if they could get like the perfect recordings, all at the highest quality, and all organized in one place. But yeah, they'd pay for that because you know what people were doing back in the Napster days. You'd have to go and find all the different songs you wanted, and then you'd have to check them, make sure that the quality was good for each one, because a lot of the times you weren't able to just download an album. That came later in torrenting. But in the Napster days, it was individual files. And then so you had people curating the Napster files and then burning them to a disk and selling them at their school. I know of somebody who actually did this. But instead of learning from that model and thinking, hey, there's huge opportunity here, they rallied Metallica and did their best to kill it. They sued the pants off of Napster. But guess what? If you've seen The Social Network, then you know that he got in on the ground floor of Facebook and he's made millions more dollars. So who really won there? And anyways, once he killed Napster, was that the end? No. Then came LimeWire, and then came torrenting, and Pirate Bay is still operating. They had so many years to launch their own digital medium. So many. Napster was what, 1999? Maybe it was earlier. And Apple Music launched in Canada here, it was like 2015. So that's, 26 years that they could have figured something out, but they didn't. They just didn't. They probably thought it was impossible. Picture a world where the labels all got together and built their own streaming service that facilitated interaction between their rosters of artists and the fans they were selling to. Amazing. But here's the thing. They didn't do that, and now we have Spotify, Apple Music, and all those other guys. We're not willing to buy music, and maybe we never really were. It's not really about the song. Radio's been giving us free music since Marconi made that first transmission, practically. What we're willing to pay for is the medium, the organization of that music into logical segments. And now, thanks to Spotify, we want all the music in the world to be in that collection. We want our collection of music, and we want it to be all the music in the world. And not only that, that's too big. So we don't just want to leave it at that. We want somebody then to tell us, based on what we like, what are the other things, the other music we don't know about yet? What is the other music out there that we will like? So Spotify has built artificial intelligence that does that for us. And there's no going back. Pandora's box has been opened, hence the brand Pandora. That's what we're willing to pay for now. That's where the bar's been raised to. And guess how much we're willing to pay for that? $10 a month. Or if it's gonna be my entire family, okay, I'll pay you $15. It's pretty much an essential service. Yes, Spotify hasn't figured out how to make money on it yet, but part of the reason they haven't is because they're paying a bunch of money to the labels in order to get them on board. Which is just another example of how the labels were so slow on figuring this out. Somebody else built it, and then if the labels had figured it out and built their own, they'd be making so much more money than they're getting from Spotify. Soon Spotify is going to be a profitable business. And when it is, that's all money that the labels left on the table that Spotify is cleaning up on. It's just typical. I'll give you some examples of where else this happens in business. Quiznos and Subway. So Subway was just enjoying everything. They had the Subway market cornered. Then along came Quiznos. They were different. They didn't worry about cutting a V-notch in the top of your sub. Who cares? It's going to be a little messy. Oh, and we're going to toast it for you. That's part of our system. It's going to toast, and it's going to take you, just a couple extra minutes in order to get your sub, and you're golden. Subway got blindsided by Quiznos. Quiznos marched in and started taking a huge chunk out of their market share. But guess what Subway did? They pivoted, and now they got rid of the V-notch. In fact, if you weren't a kid in the 90s, you maybe don't even know what the V-notch is in a Subway sub. You're probably going to have to go look it up. And they do toasting now. That's their norm. They totally pivoted and started doing exactly what Quiznos was doing. And now Subway, at least up here in Canada, still has great market share. But it doesn't always work out that way. Look at Google and Alta Vista. Alta Vista, if you don't know, then you don't know. Many, like all of my children, the only search engine they've ever known is Google. They probably had to deal with Bing once in a while if they've opened up Internet Explorer and probably cursed it because, come on, Microsoft, just get over it. You're not a search engine that anybody cares about. Nobody does search engine optimization for Bing. Anyways, Google. Alta Vista doesn't exist anymore. They were destroyed. They got blindsided by Google because Google had a so much broader view of what it meant to be a search engine. The Apple iPhone, the first real smartphone, You know, Nokia was killing it before that. And then all of a sudden along comes this device that is a small computer that's also a phone. And where's Nokia? They're not making phones anymore, not that I'm aware of. So these are all examples of companies that did not innovate and didn't know. They were blind to what was coming on the horizon. And, you know, I don't blame them. Like, sometimes that's hard to know. How do you know? There's so many ideas out there. How do you know which one is going to catch hold? But I mean, once it actually does catch hold, there's a pretty good indication that that's the next thing. And Napster did catch hold. It was so serious that they sued the pants off them. So they got blindsided hard, and they have not ever been able to recover, and they probably never will, unless something dramatic changes here. And maybe it will. I don't know. I can't tell the future. You know, maybe EMI and Sony and Warner Brothers, RCA, whoever, all get together and make their own Spotify and pull their songs from Spotify and do their own thing. That would be pretty smart. And there's huge potential there to do that, but I don't see it happening. Anyways, that's just another music industry rant from someone who just makes music for fun. So thanks for watching. If you want to see more videos like this, like it and subscribe to get updates when I upload new stuff.